You've worked hard to earn and save. Now it's time to make your money work hard for you. This is Empower Your Retirement with Frank and Frankie Guida of A Better Way Financial.
Gentlemen, there is a conversation that has come up about American currency that is fascinating to many. When was the last time? Do you have pennies? And when was the last time you even saw a penny? Are you the kinds of people where you
have some in the car, probably?
Do you have some sitting in the car, the drink holder, or some people have, the desk drawer or the junk drawer?
I don't even like keeping change in my pocket. Just lays it down.
Once I have it, I throw it in the car.
My husband and I were walking. We were walking from a restaurant to an ice cream shop, and there was a fountain in this little park area we were walking to. And I said, "You want to throw a penny in the fountain?" For luck, the tradition. He looked at me and he was like, "Do you even have a penny?" And in fact, I did. I was like, "I got one right here in my purse." I don't know how I came across it. He was more surprised that I had a penny in my purse. But here's the real surprise, that it's always interesting to find out what stuff actually costs. I had no idea. And I think that everybody will get on board with the idea of how the government's starting to get rid of the penny and weed the penny out. It apparently takes 2 pennies to make 1 penny, which is just silly. And
we should go buy them up.
Right? Exactly. Start collecting the penny collection that will become at the Guida household. I'm sure your wife would not be okay with that, Frank. Don't get any ideas.
Absolutely not.
So there is this movement to get rid of the penny. I guess it's just an antiquated currency. It's an antiquated purpose. We don't really have a purpose for the penny anymore, especially in the digital age. I mean, you're just paying for stuff on your phone and with your credit cards now, guys. But that's not where outdated financial beliefs and practices start or end, guys. And that's what I wanted to ask you about when talking to folks about getting to work on their retirement plan and doing that second opinion. We talk about the review process, and you're going through and you're looking at what they've got. How often are you finding things that are outdated and or just don't make sense anymore?
Well, I got to tell you, the first thing that we're looking at is people's portfolios. Mm-hmm. And, when you look at them, there's so many portfolios with bonds in them. And if you look at bonds and their return, you look at the AGG, and AGG is like the benchmark of bonds. The AGG is actually negative over the past 10 years.
Really?
Negative. Okay. It's like, what was it, 1 or 2% per year?
On average.
That's horrible. And people are having them in their portfolio because somebody said that they're safe.
Probably do the 60-40, right?
Yeah, they're doing the 60-40 thing, and they have their stocks in there, and then they have their bonds, and they're putting the bonds in there for safety purposes. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of a misnomer. I mean, we like to tell people you want to have safety in your portfolio, especially during your retirement years, because you're drawing income out of that portfolio. And if everything is in stocks and the stock market's down, you're selling low. You don't want to do that. But if you have a year like 2022 where you have bonds and you have stocks, well, 2022 the stock market went down 20%, the bond market went down 15%. Where do you draw your income? Right. That's not exactly how we do it here at A Better Way Financial, is it, Frankie?
No, and you might look in your portfolio and say, I don't have any bonds in my portfolio. I have the Target Retirement 2035. So that doesn't say bond in it, so I'm good.
And this is the type of fund that a lot of people have in their 401k, that Target Retirement.
All the time. A Target 2025, a Target date 2030, 2035, depending on when they're planning to retire.
Yep.
And what happens, it doesn't say bond in it, but there certainly are bonds in those target date retirement funds. And as you get closer to that target date, their way to try to de-risk the portfolio is by putting more and more bonds into it. So by the time you get to that target date, it's close to 40 to 50% in bonds.
Okay.
So if 40 to 50% of your portfolio is going down over the past 10 years, that's a problem, especially when the stock market has done so well over the past 10 years. Right. So it's important to make sure that you are looking at, well, what options do you have, and how do you make sure that your portfolio that you want to have in safety is getting good growth for you. And a lot of times people are like, well, you know what? I don't really need bonds. I can just have the risk in my portfolio. I'm in equities and market's always done really well. Well, that's good. The market has done really well over time. However, if you are going into your retirement or you're already retired and now you're 100% in equities or very overexposed to the equity market, and there is a stock market crash, because these things happen very frequently, on average once every 5 or 6 years, we've seen these major market declines of 20% or more. It's important to have a place where you can take your money from, so you don't have to take from the market when the market is going down. So you want to have some part of your money that's in a position that can't go down or that has no market risk. And what we utilize for that side of the portfolio is we utilize something called fixed indexed annuities. And those are able to capture the growth of the stock market or a portion of it when the markets are going up without having any of the losses when the markets are going down. So having that safe part of the portfolio to be able to provide some stability and knowing that, well, when the market is down, I don't have to continue to take from the market, can really help a portfolio in its design to be able to get the income that you need without having to stress or having more than what you feel is comfortable in the stock market. So what we can do, and we're going to be offering this right now for the next 5 callers, we're going to offer a risk and return analysis where we're going to be able to look through what is going on in that 401k, what is going on in your 403b and your IRA to see what's basically doing well, what's not doing so well, and what are the risks associated with your current investments, and what returns have you gotten in those investments, so that you can have a good idea of what that portfolio looks like. And then we'll be able to show you a comparative option as well that's going to be within your risk tolerance and show you what type of returns you could be getting as well over the past 25 years. So if you haven't had one of these risk and return analysis done for you already, feel free to give us a call, because we are offering them right now for the next 5 callers. So if you're 55 and older and you've saved $500,000 or more for your retirement, give us a call right now for your complimentary risk and return analysis. That number is 610-440-3722. That's 610-440-3722. Or find us online at abetterwayfinancial.com.
Well, you know, Frankie, it kind of reminds me of a couple that came in from McCungy. I mean, they were in their mid-late 50s, and, you know, they wanted to retire. They had done a really nice job of saving money. They saved $1 million. Nice. They wanted an income, about $95,000, $96,000 a year. But something happened when we looked at their portfolio. They were loaded up with these target funds. And I could see why people get into them. You know, most folks are not super savvy when it comes to investments. They're looking at these things and they're saying, hey, this says I'm going to retire around 2025, 2030, wherever it is. I'm going to retire about then. This makes it easy. I could just put my money into that.
It's a great marketing idea. It just basically says, you're retiring here you go.
But it cost these poor people a fortune, didn't it?
What happens is a lot of times they're riskier than people would think. They're like, oh, I'm retiring next year, so there shouldn't be a lot of risk in it. Well, in their portfolio, it was mainly 2025 and 2030 for their target retirement positions. And they had a max drawdown, which is basically how much their portfolio would go down in a major market crash scenario, of 48%. So they could, in essence, lose close to half of their portfolio if there was a major market decline like 2008. Jeez. That was about $492,000 on their $1 million portfolio. So we looked at it and we said, this is not where you want to be. Right. We discussed it, and you didn't want to go down more than 20%. So we definitely need to make a change here. And we looked at it and we said, all right, well, here's the situation. Here's where you feel comfortable. And we lowered their portfolio risk to around 17%. And so by having that portfolio in a less risky position, they had around $300,000 more principal protection when there is that major market decline. And they weren't making a huge sacrifice as far as the return went. They were around 6.5% in their current return, and they're around 6.5% with the recommended portfolio's return, while we were slicing that risk, almost a third of it. So taking a third of the risk. So that's a huge difference.
I mean, we couldn't help but look back. You know, looking at it over the past 10 years, had they just been invested, you know, in the S&P, they would have made almost $100,000 a year more. That's $1 million, and that's not even counting compounding. You know, and I think a lot of folks, if they're thinking, oh, I don't need to do retirement planning yet, I got a few years to go, really, really think again. You know, it costs you nothing to sit down and let us talk about what's in that portfolio and let us help you understand how that portfolio works.
Yeah, and for them it did make a huge difference, because for them to be able to get that $96,000 of income that they need with their current portfolio, they only had a 70% chance that they were going to be able to get the income that they needed. But with our planning, we were able to bring that all the way up to a 90% probability of success. So a much stronger likelihood of being able to get the income that they needed over the course of their retirement years, just by implementing some of the strategies that we were going to be able to show them to protect their portfolio and lower some of the risk, as well as try to get the best return that they could over the course of their retirement years. So we put together a risk and return analysis for them, and we can do the same for you. So right now we're offering for the next 5 callers a complimentary risk and return analysis. So if you're 55 and older and you've saved $500,000 or more for your retirement, give us a call right now for your complimentary risk and return analysis. That number is 610-440-3722. That's 610-440-3722.
Thanks for listening to Empower Your Retirement with Frank and Frankie Guida. To learn more, visit abetterwayfinancial.com.
By contacting us, we'll review aspects of your retirement portfolio to include suggestions about how best to utilize estate, tax, and retirement planning strategies and other financial services, or if changing management styles is appropriate for your specific needs and objectives. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendations to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate, and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. A Better Way Financial is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Any client experiences discussed during this show are unique to that client, and they are not meant to imply or suggest you will experience the same results. Advisory services offered through A Better Way Financial. Insurance offered through licensed professionals at A Better Way Financial. Pennsylvania Insurance License number 301779.